Hey Yogi, it's Bri again. Thank you for continuing to tune in. So far in our past videos, we've worked on awareness in the hands, arms, shoulders. We've talked about the pelvis, the legs, the feet, even our gaze. The one piece that actually connects and pieces everything else together is the core. Now, we've already talked about how to jump up into a handstand. Now we're going to talk about that straight up and down handstand. This is where the wall is honestly your best friend, and it will be for a while because the wall gives you that stability and that confidence and support to begin to really feel and connect with your body in this position, in handstand. Now, most of us don't spend a lot of time upside down, so for those of you who are new, it's really new to you. So lots of different things happen. Fear sets in, insecurity sets in, you doubt yourself. And for those of you who are teaching, remember that this happens, just because you are confident or you might be somebody who isn't scared of going upside down, that might not be the case for other people. So being compassionate is key. I teach compassion a lot in our trainings, and compassion is a great way to open up a line of communication for people to begin to listen and connect with their bodies. This long intro because we're about to work on the core, and working on the core can get a bit challenging. So we're going to start on our backs. Go ahead and lie down with me. Okay. Hug both of your knees into your chest. The great thing about this exercise is it does actually more than two, many things in one exercise. Supta Hasta Padangustasana. Extend your left leg forward, your right knee bends, pull the right knee into your chest, waking up the hip flexors. Grab the right big toe with the right peace sign fingers. If this isn't possible, you can always grab a strap, hoist it around the arch of the foot. You could even straighten the leg and hold on to the calf with both hands. Completely up to you. Now, I use this pose as a way to help people understand what their legs are doing in this shape, because this is essentially the handstand prep shape, but on your backs. So it's more accessible, people aren't really tired, and you're able to see what your legs are doing. So typically, since we're really focused on stretching the hamstring, what happens is that adduction gets lost, right? Instead of hugging the inner thighs together, instead of engaging the bottom leg, our bottom leg is dead and we just focus on pulling the leg in. Too much external rotation is happening. There's barely any engagement in the outer hip of the leg that you're pulling in, which is essentially the leg that you're standing on when you kick up. Okay? So think about first engaging this straight leg that's on the ground, hugging in towards the midline. So that straight leg that's on the ground, the inner thigh rolls down. From there, you're going to take the outer hip of the lifted leg and press it forward. Not so much so that it externally rotates the leg, but just forward so that you feel the lifted leg sit bone begin to root down into the earth. Then from there, finding Mula Bandha, just a slight firming in of the inner thighs and a lift of the perineum up towards the center line of the body. From there, pull the leg in. You could even experiment with how different foot positions affect the body. You'll notice that with a flex, it lengthens the back of the leg a little bit more. With a point, it engages the back of the leg. You feel the quad turn on, it opens the front of the leg. I like pointing, but a lot of us, especially yogis, like a little bit of both. So it's called a dorsiflex. You're pointing with the ball of the foot, but pulling the toe tips back. Inhale. And exhale, take the leg straight over the hip so you have an L shape. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, hug the inner thighs in towards one another. And exhale, lift up, reach the arms forward towards the leg that's on the ground. Draw the navel in, try to smile. And if you want a little bit more, you can lift that bottom leg up off the ground. I like to draw my chin to my chest to keep the intense engagement out of my neck. But if you want even more challenge, you can drop the head back, draw the shoulder blades down. Inhale fully. And exhale, slowly lower that right leg down, almost to the ground. If the left leg is lifted, the legs meet like an Ardha Navasana. Inhale and exhale, release all the way down. Draw your left knee into your chest. We're just gonna do the other side. Grab the left big toe with the left peace sign fingers, or hold on to the calf, extend the legs straight up. Now that I have the camera over here to my left side, you can see what I'm talking about a little bit more. You'll notice that most people, whether this is in your own body or in your students' bodies, aren't so focused on that leg that's on the ground. Notice that my legs kind of flopped out. And if I'm too focused on pulling this leg in, you'll see that this hip kind of has lots of creases and there's not much engagement. So what I want you to do, which is the same thing that we're doing in our standing splits or our handstand prep, is think about using this glute. So squeezing it into the midline, pressing it slightly forward. And notice that as I press it forward, this outer hip, it lowers the sit bone down, which is really just putting the pelvis in a more neutral position. Engaging that bottom leg, turning the inner thigh in just a little bit so it feels like the leg is in a neutral position. Inhale. And exhale as you pull that shin in towards you. Keep that counter action of that outer left hip pulling forward and the inner thighs squeezing in towards one another. That's a nice hamstring stretch. Inhale and exhale. Take that heel right over the sit bone. If you want, hover your right foot up off the ground. Reach the arms overhead first. Find the correct engagement in your feet. They're the ends of your body. They're really important. Point, flex, floint or dorsiflex. Inhale and exhale, reach the arms forward, lifting the head and the shoulder blades up off the ground. Keeping that firming in of the inner thighs, the drawing in of the navel, breathing, maybe looking up to give yourself a little more challenge, making sure the shoulder blades stay up off the ground. If that right foot is lifted up off the ground, the left foot meets the right foot in your Ardha Navasana. Squeeze the inner thighs in towards one another. Pull the navel in. Smile. That'll help you get through it. Inhale. And exhale, release both knees into your chest. Hugging the knees in. Rocking up into a tabletop position. Great place to start. So before we get upside down, grip the ground with the fingertips, push down through the index finger knuckles, firm the forearms in, draw the shoulder blades down. Now, we're gonna work on straight up and down handstand. So what you felt on your back, where you did Ardha Navasana, that's also a great tool to help yourself and your students understand how much engagement it takes in the entire body to hold yourself up on just these tiny little hands. Another pose that I use a lot when I teach handstand is plank. Plank is great because everything, with the exception of your arms, is in the same position as handstand. Because the arms are in front of you, it's a little bit easier. So step your feet back into plank, but it's a plank with your feet together. Just like it would be if you were in a handstand. Keeping the shoulders right over the wrists. Since you're looking at your hands, you can really begin to build a little more awareness to what they're doing. Grip with the fingertips. Firm the forearms in. Spread the shoulder blades. Draw the navel in. From here, I want you to feel these two counter actions working together. When you squeeze your butt, it takes the inner thighs and it presses them down towards the mat. We don't want that. So squeeze your butt, use the glutes, but firm the inner thighs in as much as you're squeezing your glutes. That'll help to solidify the pelvis in the position that it needs to be in and hold your core in. Inhale and exhale, release. Maybe you survived through all of that talking. I barely did. But using preparatory poses to help explain the more challenging things, like what you're doing in a handstand, can really help to not only build the strength that a student like yourself or your students need for handstand, but to build that connection to the awareness that they need. So like I said, it's a full body awareness pose, handstand. When you're starting out or when your students are starting out, it's important that although it's overwhelming, you teach them and let them know, pick a couple of alignment cues that really, really work for them and work on those. For instance, if your student has trouble keeping the arms bent, or keeping the arms straight, I should say, lack of awareness in the tricep, or maybe tight shoulders, really teaching them to stay aware of their arms is going to help them make that second nature, and then they can move on to something else. Okay? So although I'm teaching you every single cue and it might be overwhelming, really focus on the ones that you know you need right now. And if you're not sure what you need, then come to my training. I'll help you out. All right, so we're going to start where we left off in the last video, which is at the wall, back to the wall this time. We're going to kick up, and I'll review that kick up with you really quick, and I'll show you how you can use the kick up to help you feel that plumb line in your straight up and down handstand. So again, about a shin's or a shin's distance from the wall, fingertips down. You're going to start in that standing split. It's more like a handstand prep because we're not lifting that lifted leg too high. Remember that life, as well as your handstand journey, it's about the journey, not so much the destination. So set yourself up before you just fling yourself up there. Grip the ground with the fingertips, root down through the index finger knuckles, push down so that the front ribs draw in, and your gaze is more between the wrists than forward of them. From there, rise to the ball of the standing leg foot, squeeze the thighs together. And again, to kick up, you're going to use the spring of the knee, that's for sure, but using that outer glute, hugging it in and connecting it to the back muscles is going to help you get up there. Exhale to hop. Get your feet to the wall. Now, a lot of us try to balance from this position, but notice from the side you can see I'm in a back bend, which is why I wanted you to be shins distance from the wall. So you could bend your knees, legs together, toe tips on the wall, belly in, ribs in. Keep pushing down through the hands so that the shoulder blades move away from the ribs, giving the ribs more room to draw in. Then lift one leg and see, maybe over time you can lift, oop, boop, boop. It's okay if you fall, that means you're trying. You can lift the other one off the wall one day. Once you get there, squeeze the legs together, draw the navel in, breathe. And it might just be one leg at a time, right? Off the wall, off the wall, off the wall, okay? Really working on bringing that awareness from your plank of your legs, your two legs being one, squeezing together. Let's do the other side, and then we'll finish up. Shins distance from the wall, ribs in, gaze between the wrists. Inhale, exhale, hop up, bring your legs to the wall, bend the knees, set everything up from the knees all the way down to the hands, and see if you can lift one leg. Work on squeezing your butt, drawing the navel in. Maybe switch legs. Maybe both legs. Squeeze the legs together and slowly come down. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Remember that taking both legs off the wall could take you a year, could take you 2 years, maybe 2 weeks, just depending on many, many factors. Your habitual posture, your time in a day to dedicate to the practice. We're all different. There's really no set time. If you love it, do it. If you have questions, reach out to people that can answer them, like me. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Namaste.